Behind every great woman, there is a man frantically getting together snacks and beverages for her while she continues to be great. Some of you might be wondering why I'm here and not Megan. Well, as a lot of you know, especially if you've been listening to her podcast since we came out, a year and a half ago now, I think it is, December of 2019. Megan and I are also both performers. Well, she has been put on mandated vocal rest. Everything is fine. It's totally okay. Everything here is just a little inflamed to the point that she can actually feel her carotid artery over on this side because of the swelling that's happening. So she's been put on vocal rest. So we decided it could be fun to let me fly solo. We'll see how it goes. So the reason that I am coming on today is to talk about why I am useful and indispensable for Megan O. Russell's Ink Worlds Press. Okay, indispensable might be reaching a little bit, but we actually got together and wrote up 5 ways in which I am very useful to the publishing company, and I'm happy to share those with you. So number 1, as I mentioned previously, I am the chief snack runner here at Ink Worlds Press. We do share responsibility for getting the cat snacks. That's usually more her than me. But because she does spend so much of her time during the day either writing or editing or reading marketing books or watching marketing videos, figuring out what the latest trends are in advertising, things like that, I am spending a lot of time in the kitchen, which isn't really a change from before we were going on this journey. I prefer cooking in the relationship. In case she hasn't shared this with you, she has started multiple, I don't know how many, kitchen fires, and nothing like dramatic, just like little fires, but she did manage to set fire to the stove while boiling water. So she's not allowed to cook. So again, that's not really a huge change, but I do quite frequently go out and see, what can I get her? Can I get her some berries? Can I get her this? What's going to really set her mood for this dark and gritty dystopian? She's working on book 3 in Heart of Smoke right now. So yeah, maybe I'll bring her some dark chocolate, or I don't know. Anyway, so that is one way in which I am very useful. Yeah. Number 2, I am, I assist Megan with her so-called comma phobia. This actually isn't completely outside the realm of reality for a lot of authors. Commas are... People seem to think that there's like this really set rule on commas, like you can't comma splice, but you can't just not use them, which I will completely agree with the latter, especially because if you don't use commas, then you run into sentences like this where nobody's taking a breath. And as a reader, that gets exhausting. Like, nobody needs to read Faulknerian sentences in fantasy. If that's your thing, fine, great. It's not my thing. So both of us being actors, we like to place commas where we would naturally take a breath when telling a story on stage. So if you read Megan's books, like maybe you don't agree with where we put commas, which is totally fine, but we put commas in very, very specific places, and we do a lot of that work during our read aloud edits, where I know she's mentioned this before on the podcast. We'll sit down together, she'll have the manuscript on her computer, I'll have it on mine. It's already gone through preliminary edits, which I do alongside her. Then we send it off to editors, it comes back, and we read through all of that again, and then we do a read aloud edit. And that is so incredibly helpful to any authors out there who are watching or listening. Doing the read aloud edit really gives you a sense of how the story flows. Does the dialogue make sense? And where would your characters take a breath? Where would your narrator take a breath if you had someone doing an audiobook of this? Where do you want them to take breaths for dramatic emphasis, or even out of necessity, because you can't just continuously read unless you can do circular breathing, which if there are any, sorry for that sound, if there are any narrators out there who can circular breathe and speak, how I know that certain horn players do it, but how I don't see how you would manage that. If you know how, please leave a comment below, because I would love to find that out in case I ever decide to get into narration. The third reason that I am so very important to this business is that I'm the tech guy. Like, Megan does understand technology. She has to have an understanding in order to work with all the programs that she does, Scrivener and Microsoft Word and Excel. She does have to have, at least a basic understanding, which she does. But when it comes to the things like sound editing for this podcast or even the video editing, that's just not something that she ever got into. When I was growing up, I was very into composition, and I had a lot of friends who liked to use programs like After Effects to make videos of themselves being Jedi. So that was always something I was very interested in, and this has given me a nice outlet for that. So, hey, thanks, babe. I appreciate you for many reasons, but especially for allowing me this opportunity to edit these things for you. I do have a lot of fun with it. Reason number 4 that I am so useful is that I am, and I think she said this before, sort of an idea man. I have helped her come up with some of the concepts for her books. And even when I'm not doing that, I'm generally speaking a good sounding board. So whenever we hike, we'll talk through a lot of the plots that she is, thinking of doing. Like, how do I get them from point A to point B? So going through the mechanics of the book that way. But also, I know that she's mentioned this before, but in Alaska, there is this trail called Triple Lakes Trail. It's a 9.5-mile long trail, which I'm so glad that they updated that mileage because, again, if you've been following all of our antics, you would have seen that the first time we hiked, we did it when we were told the path was clear. We were told by HR for the company that we were working for that the rangers had said that it was clear to hike. Yeah, we got 3 miles in and there was 3 feet of snow and we trekked through. There were emergency fires that we had to start because Megan gets frostbite, because why not? Rather easily. I mean, granted, it was deep snow and it was cold, but it's still one of our favorite hikes. We have not since gone out on that hike when there was 3 feet of snow on the ground. We wait until it is well melted. But yeah, it is one of our favorite hikes. And going back to the emergency fire, and I think she might have mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago, but that was the start of the Tale of Bryant Adams. I said, wouldn't it be great if you could just like have an app to start a fire with a phone? And she made a book out of that. And then one time we were hiking and I said that there was no way that she could combine dystopian fantasy and sci-fi in a book. And she said, oh yeah, watch me. And that spawned Girl of Glass, which then spawned Heart of Smoke. And then there are ones that we haven't touched so much on, mainly because some of them are with her agent, and we don't want to give too much away. But there was one time we were talking, and I don't know where this idea came from, but I said, hey, what if, let's say that Earth did something that really pissed off other people in the universe. Not, very difficult to believe that we could do something like that. But say that there was something headed towards Earth and we redirected it. Instead of trying to destroy this giant meteor, we redirected it away from the Earth's gravitational pull. And it somehow zoomed out of our solar system and hit another planet. We had no knowledge of this because we weren't able to look at things that far out. And then as retribution, this federation of planets came back and decided to punish us by shutting us off from the sun. So they would allow sun to penetrate through this shadow that encompassed the globe, but so we could still eat, but they took away the sun from us. We couldn't see anything at all. We never got daylight again. We never had sunrises and sunsets. We had to figure out how to light our own paths. So she took that in a completely different direction and wrote a book that is currently titled Shadow Shield, and that is with her agent. So I'm not going to say too much more about it. There are things I really, really want to say about it because yeah, it's linked to another of Megan's works. I'm not going to say which one. Very loosely, you don't have to know one to know the other, but it's kind of there's nuggets in there that if you know, and it's really fascinating. But so we started building upon that world, and again, hiking. We were hiking in Acadia National Park in Maine, and there is a mountain. I think it's Mount Gorham, I want to say. And from that, we decided that there in this world were gods, Gorum, and then she came up with Garum, and they were two brothers who feuded, and that spawned this whole mythology that these people live by. So really, really fascinating stuff. So yeah, I'm a good idea guy, I guess. You're welcome, honey. I don't know. Thank you. We're gonna move on to number five. And number five on the list of reasons why I'm so important are that I help take Megan's crazy ideas and mold them into text. For instance, one of my favorite stories is when she was working on the tethering initially. One day she ran into the house and said, "I need a fox. I need a flying silver fox." Just with this like crazed look in her eyes. And I was like, okay. I don't know how we procure it. She's like, no, for the book. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then we talked through that and figured out how we could fit that into the book without it looking just completely ridiculous. and it worked. It worked really, really well. So if you've read The Tethering, you'll know the part that I'm talking about. So yeah, that's something that I'm able to help her articulate some of her ideas that she's not really sure, like how do I write this down and make it flow and make it make sense. And that is a way in which apparently she told me this is not coming from me. Apparently I've been very helpful in that process. So yay, thumbs up. So yeah, in conclusion, in summary, I take a lot of pride in the work that I do with Megan. Not that it's not work. Like for her, it is very much work. For me, it's just fun. And I've had a lot of fun getting to learn about the publishing process, things I never thought I would know. I would need to know how to do. Like I also help her a little bit with her advertising. So knowing like what CPC means versus CPM and where you want to look to farm keywords, like doing things like K-lytics and figuring out what categories are now trending versus what categories have actually lost books. It's been absolutely nuts. Like I'm an actor. That is what we both went to school for. I was a musical theater and opera major. She was a dance major. Never thought that this would be down the road. And also, I was never like, this is going to sound crazy because I'm married to an author, but I was never a big reader before Megan started writing. So yeah, to all of the spouses out there of writers, maybe find ways in which you can get involved if you're not already with your spouse's career, because you might find that you're far more interested in it than you initially thought. Again, like I said, I was not a reader, so why would I have thought I would be interested in getting involved? But I love it. I do a little bit for her every day, just little tiny things sometimes. And I really love it. It really rounds out my life, and it was a lifesaver during 2020 when theaters were getting shut down everywhere and there was no work to be had elsewhere. It really kept me from completely losing my mind. So thank you for that, Megan. And thank you all so much for coming by, for watching this, for listening to me ramble. I tried to keep the rambling to a minimum. We'll see how well I did when I edit this in a couple of hours. But thank you as always. Please like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment below depending on your platform. And hopefully Megan will be feeling all better next week vocally, and you'll get to hear her beautiful voice and see her lovely face. But until next time, have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay cool, especially those of you in the Pacific Northwest right now in the US. Man, I cannot even imagine what you're going through. Like, I'm from Tennessee. I'm used to the heat, but we're prepared for it, and you guys totally weren't. So please stay safe. No matter where you are, stay safe and have a wonderful beginning to your summer. And we will see you all next time. Bye.